Yo, it's the summer of 2011, and in case you all don't know, it's a pretty good time for mixed martial arts. At least, where everything looks right now. So, I wanted to get out my predictions for what I think is going to happen with UFC 131. Brock Lesnar is out with alleged diverticulitis again. He will not be facing Junior Dos Santos. Junior Dos Santos is now moved to the main event, and he's going to be fighting Shane Carwin. Let's talk about it. Alright, ever since really... Hold on, okay. At the Rogers Arena at Vancouver, British Columbia, UFC 131. So ever since, Junior Dos Santos showed up at UFC 90 and smashed Fabricio Verdum, he's been on tear ever since, and I thought that maybe he should have gotten his title shot sooner, since he's not American, but he's been giving the fans what they want, which is, knockout after knockout, showing that he's got really good hands, but other than that, we don't really know a whole lot about him. He's never had to overcome adversity, and we're going to see if Shane Carwin can bring that. Oh, let me see, hold on. Okay, yeah. He trains with the Nogueira brothers, out of Salvador, Brazil, out of Black House with Anderson Silva, Lyoto Machida, and all of them. So, if you're Brazilian and if you train with the Nogueira brothers, you've got to know something. You've got to be pretty good on the ground. But I don't think he's ever been taken down either. He's coming off of a win in August of 2010 over Roy Nelson. Nelson, by the way, was the first guy to go all 3 rounds with Junior Dos Santos. Not just in the UFC, but ever, because he had never been to a decision before that. He's lost only once by armbar. That was in November of 2007 to Joaquin Ferreira. Alright. And Shane Carwin, former interim heavyweight champion, he won his first 12 fights in the first round. He's a big, strong wrestler, nicknamed the Engineer because of his bachelor's degree, or maybe it's master's. Yeah. Fights out of Grinley, Colorado. Holds a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and is an NCAA Division II wrestler. Trains out of the Greg Jackson camp also. But he is coming off the first loss of his career at the hands of Brock Lesnar, a fight in which I picked him to destroy Brock. And he did for the first round. But then he got completely gassed in the second round and was submitted with an arm triangle choke. Knockout of the night one time. And he was the ROF heavyweight champion also. Plus, he's also coming off back surgery, and he was originally going to fight a guy who's also on this card named John Olev Ainamo. We'll get to that in a second. But what I think is going to happen in the main event? Shane Carwin has been out for about almost a year and a half, I think. Let me see. Yeah. Actually for just a year. And it's not like he was... So he's probably going to be thinner. He's been coming off of back surgery too, and his conditioning after the first couple minutes or so are not very good. So if he cannot, and for Junior Dos Santos, he hits hard. And with Shane Carwin, we know that if Shane Carwin gets hit, if you got him hurt badly enough, then you've got him. We saw that in his fight with Gabriel Gonzaga. So what I think is going to happen, I think Shane Carwin is going to try hard in the first 3 minutes to knock out Junior Dos Santos, but I'd see Dos Santos being tough enough or fighting smart enough to avoid that, and for him to go en route to stopping Shane Carwin late in the second round with strikes, in which Shane Carwin will just be too tired and too worn out to do anything. So, and from now on we're going to see how Junior Dos Santos will do against the undefeated Cain Velasquez. Okay, next fight. The first man to fight in 4 different weight classes, Kenny Florian, will be facing Diego Nunez, who has a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and is fighting out of the team Nova União. He's also had experience in Muay Thai and kickboxing. So, Kenny Florian, what can you say about him? He's a very good rear naked choke artist. He has dangerous elbows. He's a Muay Thai striker. He's been trying hard to get that UFC belt, but it's been just out of his reach. You know, he went on a tear beating Sam Stout, Kate Cope, and Alex Coralexis, before finally losing a unanimous decision to Sean Shirk. That was his first title shot, and then he went on a tear, getting a pretty good string of wins, like 6 wins in a row, and then he got rear naked choked by BJ Penn, and then lost to Gray Maynard, so he must have said, you know what, I'm done fighting those guys at lightweight, or, you know, he fought a bit at welterweight too, so that didn't work. So he's going to try his hand now at Jose Aldo's division. So, with that being said, Diego Nunes, he's got pretty good jiu-jitsu. He won a decision over Mike Brown. That's good. Although it was never aired, so I never did quite get around to seeing it. His last loss was a decision to L.C. Davis. So in this fight, even though I'm well aware of Nunes' chances to make a statement here, I'm going to go with Kenny Florian by rear naked choke or by decision over Nunes. Next fight, this is kind of a difficult one. John Olive Ainamo, he has a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but his last fight was in 2006 against when he armbarred James Thompson. He also has a loss to Fabricio Verdum. And he's also defeated Hollis Gracie and Hodger Gracie too. Let's see. At the ADCC. Yeah. He was going to fight Shane Carwin, but in this fight, and Dave Herman, coming off a win over Yoshihiro Nakao at the World Victory Road, presents Soul of Fight, and he's also fought in Bellator too. So in this fight, I've got to go with the guy that has had slightly more experience, and the guy that has is the more seasoned veteran. I'm going to pick Dave Herman to win, probably by TKO or submission in round 3. Or, you know what, round 1. And in this fight, okay, now middleweight bout of the main card, Damian Maia, former #1 title contender, against Mark Munoz, the Filipino wrecking machine. You know, when Damian Maia first showed up to the UFC, he was doing quite good. You know, he was like, you know, he won his first 5 fights by submission, tapped out Ryan Jensen, Ed Herman, Jason McDonald, Nate Quarry, and Chael Sonnen in just like at 237. Won a couple submission of the nights, looked really good, and then he got quickly KO'd by Nate Marquardt. And then he also lost in that embarrassing 5-round beatdown courtesy of Anderson Silva. And before that, he got a victory over Dan Miller and Mario Miranda, Kendall Grove. So, yeah, even though he is one-dimensional in the fact that he's only really good at one thing, jiu-jitsu, he is good enough at that to keep winning and to still stay a top 10 middleweight. But against Mark Munoz, Munoz is going to be the better striker. He's going to be the better wrestler, and NCAA. His only losses are to Matt Hamill when he got his head nearly kicked off, which, in hindsight, for Matt Hamill, that was a good win. He also lost a decision to Yushin Okami at Jones versus Matyushenko. Yeah. He also beat Aaron Simpson by decision, although I'm not sure how much that meant. And then after that, he quickly KO'd CB Dalloway, which was really surprising to me, where there was some controversy, but if you watched CB Dalloway closely, Dalloway was out at least for a second. So this is a big test. And you know what? I think Mark